We are here for our initial permanency hearing. We're conducting this hearing through Zoom under finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor's making a record this morning. We'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. And Judge, I'm looking for Nicole Brooks.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'll get her in.
We're here now.
Bailey Sapien on behalf of Juan Montez.
Bill Taylor on representing the mother, Andrea Alanis.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of Beto.
All right. What do we have new from the department since the court report was filed?
I actually just spoke with Andrea at 8:30 this morning. I know on there I had not heard from her since December 4th. I do know where she's located now, and I do have a good phone number for her, so I can give that to you, Mr. Taylor, if you need it. And she's ready to get back on track with her family plan and start working her services again.
Have we made any progress?
She had started her parenting classes and her individual therapy before I did not hear from her. Her and I made a plan today, and we're going to get her OSAR evaluation done so we can move forward with that and get her back in therapy. And she only had 4 more parenting classes. So we're going to get her back in with those so that she can finish those parenting classes up.
Okay. What about drug testing?
She did not show up for her drug testing in November or December. And up until that point, she was continually testing positive for methamphetamines and marijuana. So I believe if we get her on track for that OSAR and get the recommendation of either inpatient or outpatient, we can get her on the right track of becoming sober.
We haven't had a drug screen on her since then.
No, I did not. I was not able to get a hold of her in January to send her for a drug screen. So now that I have that number, I can send her this month.
Ms. Brooks, was October the last drug screen you got?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Judge, we'd ask to go ahead and get a UA and a hair follicle today.
Yeah.
Know where we're starting.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Okay. And Beto's doing well and thriving in placement.
He is. He's doing great. For his age, he has got a full head of hair, and I'm a little jealous because I know at that age I did not have a full head of hair. He's doing really good. ECI services did go in to evaluate him, and they said he's not needing it because he's developmentally on target for his age.
Okay. All right, then, Mr. Taylor.
I really don't have anything to add. I've not had any communication with my client in spite of my efforts to reach her. I would appreciate that phone number from caseworker and appreciate it if my client would respond to my efforts to reach out to her.
I will get that emailed over to you, Mr. Taylor, so you have it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Sapien.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Brooks, I saw mentioned in the court report that my client was in jail. Do you know what county that was?
Off the top of my head, I don't, ma'am. I can definitely look on the background check I ran on him and let you know what that county was. I know he was released, and we've not been able to locate him.
Okay, and were you able to find out the name of his defense attorney?
I was not.
Okay. I don't have anything else, Judge.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And yes.
I didn't know if we could ask mom if she knows where dad is.
Sure.
Or how to get in touch with him.
Ms. Alanis, do you have any knowledge of his whereabouts?
When I talked to Miss Nicole this morning, from what I understand and what I've heard, he is living in an RV behind his mom's house on the street. I'm not too sure, and I'm not too sure if that is where he's at, but that's just from what I've heard.
Okay.
Ms. Alves, do you have his mom's phone number? If you do, I don't want you to give it to me right now. I'm just wondering if you have it.
His mom is actually deceased. And so, and I don't know anybody that lives there or around him in that area with a good working phone number. The sister that they would use to try to get in contact with him is currently sitting in Randall County Jail.
Okay, okay, thank you for that information.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Sapien, I know I've gone by the mom's house before and it's a vacant lot. I mean, there's a house there, but the house is completely vacant.
Okay, thank you guys.
All right. I guess it's worth the trip to go see if there's an RV there now.
Yes, ma'am.
Paula?
Your Honor, I don't have any questions. Beto is doing great. I believe this was already put in place, but since mom has resurfaced, I would ask for a CLUA before any visits start. It's my understanding there have not been any visits at all.
Okay. All right, well, for today, I'm going to order Ms. Alaniz to appear for drug screens before 4 o'clock today. And Ms. Alaniz, can you get there, or do we need to get transportation for you?
I have a car that it gets me to and from. As of yesterday, it didn't want to start. So I'm currently in the works of trying to get that going. I don't want to say yes, I can be there by 4 and then not make it by 4 and it looks bad on me or go against me.
You'll be there before 4 today. The question is, does St. Francis need to come get you?
Okay, yes. If all else fails, then yes, I will need them to help me get there.
Okay. Ms. Brooks, I guess I'll just let you try to figure out what you want to do for sure about that, but
Yes, ma'am.
okay, so you're going to be ordered to do hair and UA today, and
Okay.
I will make a finding that there is a continuing danger to send the child home, and that the department is using reasonable efforts to reunite the family. However, we are 172 days into this case and have had no progress made by parents. So I'm going to set this for an early final, June 4th of 2024. That's on a 9 o'clock docket, and we'll see what has been accomplished at that point in time. We can always vacate it as a final and give some more time, but the complete lack of progress is is disheartening. So, Ms. Alaniz, you are going to have to really get with it. And if inpatient's what you need to do, now's the time to do it.
Yes, ma'am. I have been on track on everything for the most part until just recently, back in November, but I will get on top of everything.
Okay, because you're just running out of time. That's all there is to it. So, okay.
Judge, do I need to put in the order what Ms. Vala asked on the no in-person contact?
I'm getting there.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. It's okay. So I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I'm going to continue the child's current placement. And I am going to order that until we have negative drug screens, there will be no in-person visitation. So we'll get her tested today and see where we're at.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Good luck, Ms. Alaniz.
Thank you.
We're here today set
Thank
for
you,
our
ma'am.
final. We are conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. And we're live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record today. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I am present ready.
William Taylor for Ronnie Johnson, father, or alleged father. He is not present. I am ready, Your Honor.
Stacy Zavala for Amelia.
All right, Mr. Trout, who's your first witness going to be?
Amy Bailey. And how are you familiar with that case?
I was the investigator on that report.
How did the department become involved in the case with this child?
We received a report that The mother had tested positive for methamphetamines at the birth at the hospital.
Okay. And she had tested positive for what?
Methamphetamines.
Okay. And were you able to get to the hospital?
Yes,
Were you able to meet with the mother?
yes.
On your first attempt, were you able to speak to her, or was she asleep in the room?
She was asleep.
Did y'all try to wake her up?
We did for several minutes, the nurse and I, and neither one of us could get her to respond.
And who is the mother's name? What is her name?
Angel White.
Okay. And when did you finally get to meet with the mother?
I believe it was the 19th. It was the morning of April 19th that I was able to meet with her.
Okay. And did you discuss the reasons why you were involved?
Yes, sir.
And did she admit or deny any drug use at that time?
I believe at that time she denied. She told me that she had taken her friend's Adderall.
Okay. So knowing she was pregnant, she admitted to taking somebody else's prescribed medications?
Yes.
Okay. Did she tell you who dad was at the time?
She told me it was Ronnie Johnson.
Okay. Were you ever able to speak to him?
Yes.
What was did you explain to him why y'all were involved?
Yes, sir.
At that time, did he admit or deny being the father? Did he ever say?
Initially, he's told me that he was the father.
Okay. Did dad, in any conversations y'all had with him, did he ever admit to drug use?
Yes.
And what did he say about his drug use? How often?
2 to 3 days a week. Every 2 to 3 days, he would use methamphetamines.
And for how long had he been doing that?
I believe 2 to 3 years.
Okay. Was there any other family or anybody that we could or was willing to or that we could place the child with?
And Mr. Johnson's sister.
Okay. And is that where the baby was placed?
Yes.
So due to the mother's drug use, the dad admitting drug use, was it in the child's best interest to remove at that time?
Yes,
Did the baby's meconium results come back?
it did.
And
Came
were
back positive.
Okay, they were positive.
Yes, sir.
And positive for what?
Methamphetamines.
Did the child ever have any complications arise from that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And so the baby was placed with, who'd you say, paternal sister
Yes,
or paternal aunt? I guess.
maternal aunt.
And when the case was handed over from investigations to St. Francis, was the baby doing well?
Yes,
Okay. And you do believe it's in the best interest of the child to remove due to the drug use?
yes, sir.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Taylor?
Just a couple of questions, John. Did Ms. White ever name anyone else as possibly the father of the child?
No, sir.
Did Mr. Johnson ever make any effort to work a service plan?
I did not create the service plan, so I'm not aware if he works services or not.
So he basically didn't ever follow through with any efforts to respond to communications with you?
I met with him initially at the time of removal, but after that, I did not have contact with him.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, and Ms. Zavala?
I have no questions, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, Mr. Trout, anything else for Ms. Bailey?
Nothing from Ms. Bailey, Your Honor.
All right, is Ms. Bailey free to leave us at this time?
I have no objection.
No objection.
All right, Ms. Bailey, then thank you very much for your time today, and you're free to go.
All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
You
Thank
too.
you, Ms. Bailey. How are you familiar with this case?
I'm the caseworker on the case.
Were you ever able to meet with the parents in this case?
I met with them 1 to 2 times at the very beginning.
Okay. And as far as the mother, I believe we learned earlier that the mother has passed away.
Yes, in August of
Okay.
last year.
And in one of our previous hearings, the alleged dad, Mr. Johnson, actually verified that also, correct?
Yes, sir.
As to Mr. Johnson, have you been in contact with him lately?
I have not.
Okay. When was your last contact with him? Do you know?
It was at the last hearing, so at least, what, 4 months ago, I believe?
We ordered paternity testing on him, is that correct?
Yes.
And did he ever follow through with that? Were you able to get in touch with him about that?
No, he did not.
When you first get a case, what is your first steps moving forward?
We meet with the parents and see what kind of services they need to mitigate the reasons for removal, and then make the family plan for them.
Okay. And can you tell us what a family plan is?
We make the family plan based off of the removal reasons. And then we go through, talk to the parents and see what all they need to, possibly reunify with the children.
Okay. And did you generate family plans in this case?
I did.
And were those family plans made in order of the court?
Yes, sir.
They filed with the court?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would ask to admit exhibit number 1, which is a certified copy of the family plans of service for Angel White and Ronnie Johnson.
Oh, no objection.
No objection.
All right, petitioner's exhibit 1 will be admitted.
Thank you, Honor. Ms. Gaines, did Mr. Johnson, did he ever complete any of the services?
He did not.
And before mother's passing, did she ever work on any of the services?
No, she did not.
Has Mr. Johnson reached out to you to try to get services started?
He has not.
Sorry. Has Mr. Johnson ever visited with the child?
No.
Did he ever see the child to your knowledge?
I believe the day she was born, and that's it.
Okay. Did he ever reach out for any visitations with the child?
No.
Has the child been in care for longer than 6 months?
Yes.
Has the Department of St. Francis made reasonable efforts to work with the parents to provide services to get back to reunification?
Yes, we have.
Do you believe that Ronnie Johnson can provide a safe and stable environment for the child at this time?
I do not.
And you stated that he has not seen the child since around birth.
Yes, he has not.
Your Honor, I'd also ask to admit exhibit number 2. It is a certified copy of the certificate of paternity registry search, indicating that nobody has intended to claim paternity of the child.
Any objection?
No
No
objection.
objection.
All right, petitioner's exhibit 2 will be admitted.
Ms. Cairns, how's the child doing now?
She is doing very well. She is placed with her biological brother now, as of the 2nd. So
Okay. And is this a placement that's wanting to adopt or just to be long-term placement, or what are we looking at?
yes, they plan on adopting and they are ready.
Okay. They're just waiting on to be available to adopt.
Yes.
Is the department today asking to terminate the paternal rights of Ronnie Johnson as to the child based on 1, failure to register with the paternity registry search,
Yes, we are.
failure to work service plans,
Yes.
constructive abandonment?
Yes,
And do you believe that that is in the best interest of the child?
I do.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, and Mr. Taylor, any question?
No, Your Honor, no questions.
Okay, Ms. Fall?
Ms. Carnes, originally Amelia was placed with alleged dad's sister, correct?
Yes.
And there were some issues there and she had to be removed and placed in a foster home.
Yes, ma'am.
And dad requested paternity testing, and never completed it. So at this point, we still aren't sure he is the biological father.
That's correct.
Even so, you worked with his sister and gave her months and months to correct issues, looking at potentially placing with her.
Yes, we did.
And that was not able to be corrected.
Yes.
Okay. And she is now placed with her biological brother.
Yes, she is.
Okay. And she's been doing well throughout this case.
Oh, yes.
No concerns about the placement that she is now in.
No.
I pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Trout, anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay. Any further witnesses?
No further witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, let me just double check. Anybody else have any other questions for Ms. Karen?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then does the department rest?
Far moved rest, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Taylor, anything to present today?
I have no witnesses, Your Honor. I do wish to put on the record that I did speak with Mr. Johnson yesterday, after which I immediately contacted Mr. Trout. Mr. Johnson informed me that he was willing to sign a relinquishment. Mr. Trout prepared that and sent it to me. I was never able to get back a hold of Mr. Johnson, even though he had left me a phone number. The phone number that he left me, every time I called it, it gave me a recording saying that he did not have a voicemail set up and he never returned the call. I had told him during my phone call with him that I needed an email address to send him the link so he could participate in the hearing. He told me he didn't have an email. I said, well, you can come to my office to participate in the hearing. He said, I don't want to do that. I will borrow somebody's phone and I will call you and give you the email so I can participate that way. That call never arrived. At all times, he's had my phone number, my office address, and phone ability to get a hold of me. It's pretty obvious to me that he did not choose to. So I wanted to put that on the record. And I believe I made more than reasonable effort to give him the opportunity not only to participate in the hearing, but also to execute the affidavit that he said he was willing to sign. I have nothing further. I'd rest.
All right, thank you, Mr. Taylor, and thank you for your efforts. All right, Mrs. Ball, anything to present other than your recommendation?
No, Your Honor, I rest and close.
All right, then, Mr. Taylor, I'm sorry, do you rest and close as well?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, Ms. Zavala, do you have your recommendation to make?
Yes, Your Honor, I do believe it's in Amelia's best interest for the alleged father's parental rights to be terminated today. She is doing wonderfully and has been placed in an adoptive home with her bio brother. And I do believe all of that is in her best interest.
All right, thank you. Okay, at this time, then I do find by clear and convincing evidence that it is in the best interest of the child well, let me back up. I'm sorry. I will adjudicate Ronnie Johnson Jr. as the father of the child and establish the parent-child relationship between him and Amelia. And I find by clear and convincing evidence it is in the best interest of Amelia to terminate the parental rights between the child and the father, Ronnie Johnson Jr., based on Texas Family Code 161.001, subsection B1, N and O grounds, and under Texas Family Code 161.002, subsection B3 is failure to register with the paternity registry. I'll just name the department as permanent managing conservator, continued placement of the child, and will dismiss all court-appointed attorneys at this time. after the appropriate de novo and appellate timeframes expire, except for Ms. Zavala, who will remain as the child's attorney and guardian ad litem. Okay, thank y'all very much, and I appreciate it. So y'all have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And
Thank you.
Shay, I did get your message. Thank
Okay.
you.
And Judge Baker, I think my dog likes being on your hearings because every time he just,
So cute.
He's very cute.
thank you.
I always
Yeah.
get a kick out of seeing
He
him.
obviously loves you very much.
Yes, he just likes to be on the hearings as well. So thank you. And I'll talk to you soon, Stacy, on that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Everybody have a blessed week.
Thank you. You all request
You as
for
well.
court-ordered services and for participation in the Texas Family First program. We are conducting this through Zoom, and we are live streaming. So let me see, Ms. Taylor, I think she's probably had to step away. Let me record this real quickly. We can go ahead and take announcements.
Judge, this is Todd Albee for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We have an agreement reached between the parties. Once everybody's announced, I'll announce the agreement.
Bailey Sapien on behalf of Mom Angela Garza.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the kids.
All right. Mr. Abbey?
And Judge, if it please the court, before I announce my agreement, if we could there's some FBS folks who are also involved in this.
Ms. Turk and Ms. Smith, maybe?
I was told Kelsey Moore and Sherry Hughes, are they in your waiting room?
No.
Okay.
Ms. Turk and Ms. Smith are the only people out there.
Well, I don't think they're a part of this thing. So our agreement, Your Honor, is that there's been a family plan of service that has been developed by FBS with Ms. Garza. That would include parenting, individual counseling, family counseling, anger management, and some mental health services with TPC. The agreement is that Ms. Garza will work the family plan of service during the Texas Family First program, which would allow the children to remain in her care under our supervision and monitoring.
Okay. All right, very good. Ms. Sapien, is that what you and your client have agreed to today?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, and Ms. Zavala, is that also your agreement?
Yes, Your Honor, it is my agreement. I do want to let Mom and the girls know that I'll be contacting them to meet with the girls. I can do that either at the home or at school, but I want Mom to know that we will be doing that, and that it will likely be Kelly Deaton who's calling.
Okay, Ms.
So understood, Ms. Zavala, there's gonna be a who contacting them or me?
So my assistant, Kelly Deaton, will be calling to set up a meeting. I can either meet with them at home or at school. And so I just wanted you to know who I am. I'm their attorney.
Right.
And that will be happening in the near future.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, then I will approve the agreement and order the participation in the TFF case, in the TFF program, excuse me. And we will have a compliance hearing on April 30th of 2024, and that'll be a 9 o'clock docket. Ms. Garza, that's just kind of a check-in to see how things are going and, you know, if there's anything that we need to address. So your attorney will be sure that you have the correct link. We send those out about a week in advance of the hearing, and it may not be right at 9. It'll be like today. It'll have a set time. So I'll see you back then, and good luck with all this. And I'm glad that you've agreed to do this. All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Judge.
On initial
Thank you,
permanency
Judge.
hearings in both cases. We're conducting these through Zoom under a finding good cause and agreement of the parties, and we are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Christina Hunter is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Joel Jackson on behalf of Tina Martinez, present ready, Your Honor.
Behaviour Red standing in for Brooks Barfield, who's the attorney for Tina Martinez, and I am present ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the kids.
Okay, first, issue just to address, Mr. Jackson, my information is that Ms. Martinez is now 18.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so after today, we will dismiss you as her guardian ad litem, as she would no longer be required to have a guardian ad litem.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, then, what do we have new from St. Francis since the court report was filed?
I mean, Tina's doing really well. She's engaging in her services. She still has several services that she needs to complete. We have not had any contact with Joe Rico, unfortunately. I know law enforcement is still actively looking for him, as he does still have the active warrants. And then we did determine that Kaim Daniel is not the father to Camden, unfortunately.
All right, and I think we already signed a dismissal on him.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. All right, then, anything else new then?
Nothing predominantly, no, ma'am. The kids are doing really well. Tina's still just engaging services. She still has some ways to finish on some things.
Okay, and visits are going well?
Yes, ma'am. The visits, we were doing them over in Plainview, but we recently moved them over to Amarillo at our visitation house because Camden is actually currently in school now.
All right.
I got a couple of questions, Your Honor.
Sure.
Ms. Hunter, what other services do we need completed?
Yeah.
Tina is still needing to finish her therapy. She was discharged from her original therapy services with Delois Hinders due to not showing up like she was supposed to. Delois has agreed to work with her again to do the full 6 sessions. She is currently scheduled for her first appointment with her for February the 16th at 10 in the morning.
Exactly.
She's also needing to complete her Padre services as well. She is currently enrolled with that. She just recently started. Padre went ahead and signed her up for the drug risk education classes as well as the parenting, even though she's not required to complete the parenting for us.
Okay. Now there was another family plan filed in the last few days. Is that amended family plan?
And that is the updated, yes.
Okay, and was something new added on this?
We are requesting that she have a psychological done based upon the recommendation of her psychosocial.
Okay. Do you know, has that been set up or scheduled yet?
We have sent the referral, but we are waiting for it to be ordered at part of the court.
Okay. And okay, anything else we need to look into on as far as services?
As far as services, no. I did go over the family plan with Tina last Thursday here at the office. She stated that she was instructed to take it back to her attorneys to review. I also sent it to Joel Jackson's office as well. And I believe Brooks was also included in on that, but I still haven't received a sign or denial on the family plan as far as that part is concerned.
Okay. And your understanding though, from the beginning with the service plans, it is ordered that service plans or any amended service plans mom has to do, correct? Or agrees
yes.
to. Okay. Okay. Where is mom living currently?
She's currently living with her mother.
Okay. I know I saw some stuff about you've reached out to her as far as trying to help her find a place of her own. Or has she started in on that yet?
To my knowledge, no. I did provide her with information for the Evelyn Rivers Project because she did express to me that she was wanting to continue to go to school. And the Evelyn Rivers Project is an amazing opportunity for her to be able to have her children as well as continue to go to school and get on her feet, as that's something that they do within that program. I also spoke with her about applying for HUD. She advised me that her attorneys told her to hold off on doing that until after she turned 18. I reached out to their offices as well, asking if there's anything that I needed to do to be able to assist with that, and I never received a response.
Okay. You also gather information for HUD.
Yes.
Okay. Is, to your knowledge, hey, I think mom had said in a report, mom was working, but she's not working anymore due to focusing on school and services. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. To your knowledge, has she applied for another job or gotten another job yet? Or are we still waiting?
As of this moment, no.
Okay. Okay. Do we have a concern as far as income on raising three young children right now?
I'm sorry, say that again.
I said, is there a concern as far as mom not having employment right now for financially being able to support the three children right now?
As of right now, since the kids are currently within foster homes, no. But it will be something that needs to be met whenever the kids are to be returned.
Yes. Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Rudd?
I'm sorry,
So,
Judge.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
So you want her focusing on her services right now, but she can't get her kids back until she gets a job. Is that correct?
No, ma'am, that's not what I'm saying. It's, as far as St. Francis is concerned, there are certain criteria that we have to ensure are met, such as stability, consistency, and one of those factors would be stability because she has to be able to financially provide for her children's.
So yes, she's gonna have to have a job in order to get her, when it comes time to get her kids back, she's gonna have to show that she has a job and has maintained a job.
She will have to show that she can be able to meet the financial need for her children.
Okay. But right now you want her doing the Padre services, the drug services, the parenting classes, therapy, and psychological testing,
Those are some of the services that she does need to finish, yes.
as well as finishing school.
She actually has already taken her test for her school, so she's just waiting to get the results back.
I don't understand. Her test for her school, like a GED?
I believe, yes, ma'am. She's doing like an online school program where she's actually already taken the final test for it. She's supposed to be walking with Paladar, I believe, in May, once she gets confirmation that she did pass her final test.
Okay, so she's at this point in time, she's no longer focusing on going to school. It's just getting her services done, and she could work when she did, since she's not going to school any longer. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, I believe so.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
All right, and Mr. Jackson?
Thank you. Ma'am, you had said that you guys are asking now, well, with the new family plan, y'all amended that to request a psychological evaluation. Is that my understanding?
Yes, sir.
And that was based on the recommendations from her psychosocial, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the recommendations that I'm seeing here for the psychosocial are individual therapy, education on parenting, education on domestic violence, monitor for depressive symptoms, considering psychiatric referral if necessary, in significant need of social services if she's going to be a single parent. Where do you pull out of those recommendations that she needs to have a psychological evaluation?
I based it upon the referral for the psychiatric evaluation from the depressive symptoms.
It is considering a psychiatric referral if necessary.
Yes, sir. Based upon her therapy notes, there has been some depression symptoms that have been exhibited.
Okay, and so that's why she's in therapy, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how would a psychosocial or psychological evaluation aid in that?
With a psychological, it'll be able to show what other services may be necessary to help Tina, if necessary.
Okay. All right. So now the department's poised at potentially adding more services to the services she's already working. Is that my understanding?
The case is always ongoing, sir, and unfortunately services do have a tendency to rise based upon the need that is exhibited.
Okay, so she had completed a parenting class, is that correct?
She has, yes. She completed 7 like individual classes.
Okay, and have y'all asked her to do another parenting class?
No, sir.
Okay. And on Ms. Henders for the counseling, you said that she wasn't attending. Didn't she complete 6 sessions with her already?
No, sir. She completed 5.
Okay, so she needs to do 6 more?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And who's recommending that?
I'm sorry?
Who's recommending that?
That's based upon her fact that she didn't complete the original 6 and was discharged from services at that point.
Okay. She couldn't just come back in and finish up with one more?
Unfortunately, no, based upon the recommendation of my supervisor, no.
Okay. All right. Are you aware that she has completed her high school education and has graduated?
Whenever I met with her at the beginning of the month, she had actually told, well, excuse me, end of last month, I should say, she had told me that she had taken her test, but she was still waiting on the results, so I was not aware of that.
Okay. You said the visits are going well?
Yes.
Would the department be opposed to her having more time with her children?
Unfortunately, as of right now, I don't see how that would be feasible, seeing as Camden does go to school half the day and Elizabeth has to travel all the way from Lubbock. Right now, the visits are scheduled from 9 to 11 as of the moment right now, because Camden has to be back in school and it is 2-hour drive for Elizabeth from Lubbock.
Okay. So we couldn't change the times that they meet?
I mean, I'm not opposed, but that would be a very late day for the little ones, considering the Camden doesn't get out of school until 3.
Okay.
What about a Saturday visit?
Exactly.
I mean, it's something we can definitely explore.
Let's see if we can't get a spot for visits on Saturday and give her, let's try to get like 3 hours or something.
Otherwise, I think that you had wanted, it's my understanding that you had here recently wanted Christina to sign off on this family plan. Is that correct?
That I've asked for Tina to sign up on the family plan?
Uh-huh.
Yes, sir.
And she refused to sign off on that plan, correct?
She stated that she was instructed to bring it to y'all to review and to decide from there.
Okay. And is that all that took place that day? Nothing further between you and she?
We reviewed the family plan. I discussed about our continued safety concerns in regards to her mother. And we also took her to go drug screen, and her parent support worker met with her to complete a family tree.
And as far as I think that you all gave her a ride to drug tests that day too, didn't you?
Yes, that was her parent support worker.
And you have received those results back, correct?
Yes, sir.
And those are negative?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
Okay. All right. Ms. Zavala?
Ms. Hunter, the psychosocial that was referenced earlier, that's been filed with the court, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in that psychosocial, did Ms. Hinders identify things as significant challenges and mom needing some significant social services and extended monitoring for this to be successful?
Yes, ma'am.
The visits were originally in Plainview, but now because of the school, they've been moved to Amarillo. When they were in Plainview, were there any concerns about possibly mom feeding the baby kind of inappropriate food for a 7-month-old with no teeth?
Yes, ma'am. I was made aware of it yesterday, and I had a conversation with foster mom. She was getting fed like Cheetos and like chorizo and eggs, and was also munching on like a tortilla, those kinds of things. I did speak with our family support workers that do observe it, and they are aware that we're supposed to ensure that that is age appropriate food, as she does not have any teeth at this point to be able to chew. And foster mom is also going to be sending pureed food to be able to apply that as well instead of the actual adult food.
Okay, but mom is working with you and she's working on her services.
Yes.
Okay. I pass the witness.
All right. Okay. Anybody have anything further they want to ask Ms. Hunter?
Not Ms. Hunter, Your Honor. I did get a message. I would ask if I can ask Ms. Watson, her supervisor, a couple questions real quick.
Sure.
Your Honor, I have a couple of follow-ups with Ms. Hunter.
Okay, go ahead. Let's finish with Ms. Hunter then.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, in regard to the issue about feeding the little one Cheetos, isn't it true that they have Cheetos for adults and Cheetos for kids?
Yes, it's true.
Was she feeding this child a kid Cheeto?
No, she was feeding them the adult Cheeto Puffs.
Okay. Okay, it was, okay, a puff, you said.
I'm sorry?
I'll pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Trout.
I have nothing further with Mr. Hunter, Your Honor.
Okay, so you can go ahead and ask Ms. Watson, because you wanted to ask her.
Ms. Watson, I know the discussion was on Saturdays, maybe adding some visits in. We'll look into doing that, but are there some complications you notified me of?
Yes, sir. Currently transportation is not available except for placements on Saturdays. So there would be no transportation to be able to bring Elizabeth up here. The second problem is we don't have any contractors in the Amarillo area that do our visits for the weekend. And pretty much all of our FSWs are tapped out for weekend visits. We will look and see if we can find any volunteers or if there's another solution to it. But those visits will probably take us several weeks to get set up before we could physically do them.
But it's something you'll look into and see if we can figure it out.
Yes, sir.
But just to notify the court, those are a few complications we got to get around.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Mhm.
I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
All right, then, Mr. Rudd, anything further to present today?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Jackson?
Your Honor, I would briefly call Tina Martinez.
Okay, Ms. Martinez?
Okay, thank you. You were present during all of this testimony this morning, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And as far as the services that you're doing, are you working your services?
Yes, sir.
Okay, did you graduate high school?
Yes, sir.
When did you complete that?
The 25th of January.
Okay, and have you received your diploma yet?
It's coming in the mail.
Okay. And in addition to attending high school, you were attending a parenting class and attending counseling. You took a psychosocial,
My behavior class,
your rational behavior treatment
Hey,
therapy.
Joel, can't hear, Joel, we cannot hear her. Ms. Taylor's not able to get her.
You have to speak up.
She probably needs to look towards the microphone.
Yeah, you don't have to look at me, okay?
Oh.
So you completed your rational behavior class?
Yes, sir.
And did they just start you on doing a drug evaluation class?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what does that class entail? What is it about?
Nothing. Just to say no to drugs. I
Okay,
literally don't learn nothing.
okay, so and if they're teaching to say no to drugs, have you ever tested positive for drugs in this case?
No, sir.
Okay. You have completed an OSAR, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and of course, you're psychosocial. And so you are wanting to get a job at JBS according to the report that was filed. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and are you able to go to work for JBS?
I can go to work, but how am I going to work with all these classes plus more that they're giving me? I literally have classes Monday to Tuesday, three classes Wednesday, then Thursday I see my kids, and now Friday I got more counseling.
Okay, and so
I don't know how I'm going to work.
that's what's causing the problem, right?
Yes, sir.
And every time that you get finished with one service, they're asking you to do another?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you're just asking the court just to take that into consideration, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And currently you don't have transportation available to you, do you?
Just my uncle when he's not at work.
Okay,
But other than that, no.
okay,
But if she needs transportation, I can help her.
okay. But your uncle can help you if you need transportation, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would object. I don't know who that is speaking, answering questions there.
Yeah,
I understand, Mr. Trout. He wasn't aware. Just for the court's record, that was her uncle who was present in the room with me this morning. And you're working all your services to get your kiddos returned as fast as possible, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
okay. All right, does anybody have any questions they want to ask Ms. Martinez?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Ms. Zavala, you have a recommendation today?
I do, Your Honor. The kids are doing well at the different placements. And I recommend that those continue at this time, as being in their best interest.
All right, thank you. All right, so if I understand correctly, the recommendation for this psychological was based on some things that came up in her initial sessions of counseling. Ms. Hunter, is that correct?
The depressive symptoms were discussed in her initial. Sorry, I'm getting my brain together here. The depressive symptoms were discussed in her initial counseling sessions, but the psychosocial said do a referral for a psychological if needed, basically.
Okay, and she didn't complete that counseling, so we're starting over with that. So I'm not going to order the psychological evaluation today. I prefer to get her back into the individual counseling, and then if in the course of that, if the counselor feels like, you know, that's a recommendation they need to make or she needs to make, then we'll go there down the road, but I'm not going to add it today. Okay. Ms. Martinez, we're still, we're still fairly early on in your case. You've got plenty of time to finish your services. And as you maybe complete some more of those, then maybe it will be time to start looking for a job. Okay. I mean, ultimately, yes, that's going to be a component of sending the kiddos home to be sure that you can provide for them. But I understand that this is a lot to get done, but you still got time, to get all this done. So don't be discouraged is what I'm saying. You're doing very well, and just keep working your way through it. Okay, then I'm going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I'll continue placement today. Find that there will be a continued behavior to send a child home today, that the department is using reasonable efforts to reunify the family. And Mr. Jackson, since she is now 18, we will dismiss you as the guardian ad litem, and Mr. Barfield will remain as her attorney ad litem.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, our next hearing is June 4th of 2024 at 9 on a 9 o'clock docket.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Ms. Hunter.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a good
On
day.
behalf of the mother, Kirsten Smith, we're trying to get her connected. She was in the waiting room, so she's obviously trying to get in to participate. So assuming we can get her logged back in, she would be present as well. Okay.
Your Honor, I spoke with, I guess the phone number I have is for a friend, and they said that she's trying to log back in again.
Okay. Kincaid, since you're present, our docket is, so far behind. I've just got to forge ahead, and if she misses some things, I can always put you all in a breakout room, and you can catch her up on what's been talked about. All right. So what do we have new from St. Francis since the court report was filed?
The only thing new since the court report is I have been able to get into contact with Kirsten. I hadn't been able to reach her since December, and she said that she's living with a friend, and that's the only update I have.
All right, and what about progress on services with either parent?
Kirsten has not made any progress on her services. Dylan is participating in parenting classes, individual counseling, and then through his probation, he is doing BIP classes and participating in AA classes each week. And he has 2-hour visits at his house with Serenity, still supervised by us, but at his home. And he has tested negative on all drug screens since he was released from ISF.
Okay. All right, so fair to say that Mr. Green is in compliance with the service plan, and that Ms. Smith is not.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, then Ms. Kincaid, I know you've indicated you've not had contact with her, so I don't know if you have anything to report to us.
Your Honor, I got this case, like I said, in November. And since that time, I've had a phone number, but this morning is actually the first time they've answered. And I don't know, I don't have an explanation for that, but I don't have anything that I can update the court with.
Okay. All right, Ms. Lucero.
Your Honor, I don't have any updates. I just wanted the worker, Ms. Williams, did advise that Mr. Green's visits they haven't increased, but they're 2 hours now supervised at his family's home. And I just wanted to ensure that that was occurring, but I don't have anything further.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, and Ms. Zavala?
Ms. Williams, Serenity is pretty far behind on milestones. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and she's got ECI and physical therapy and lots of different therapies going on to help with that.
Yes.
If as we progress in this case, if Dad continues to do well, at some point would it be appropriate for him to be involved in those therapies?
Yes, ma'am. I believe we're going to try to start that this week, on Thursday.
And there's still work that Dad needs to do, although he's been doing well, right?
Yes.
Okay. I got a witness.
All right, Ms. Zavala, you have a recommendation today?
Yes, Your Honor, I do recommend that this placement continue, and that when it's appropriate, Dad be brought into those therapies. I think that would be helpful. But I do think all of that would be in Serenity's best interest.
Okay. All right, then I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue placement. I find that there's a continuing danger to return the child home today and that the department's using reasonable efforts to reunify the family. Mr. Green, sounds like everything's going very well for you. Thank you for your hard work and just stick with it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Our next hearing will be April 11th of 2024 on a 9 o'clock docket. That will be the final in this case.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
You're free
Ms.
to.
Williams.
We're here today on a review hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming and Ms. Taylor's making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Michelle Slagle is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Vince Nowak on behalf of Monica Gibson. I am here, Judge, and I talked to her yesterday, and she should be joining us shortly, I hope, but I am present and ready, Judge.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of NOAA.
Okay, Mr. Pearl's not connected to either, and we're already about 30 minutes behind where we should be, so I've got other things on the docket, so I'm going to have to move forward. Okay, what do we have new since the court report was filed?
There's nothing new on our end. We're still waiting on the results of her drug screen. We kind of had a little bit of issues, not on her part, on them, but we're still waiting for those to come back. We did get the ICPC approved finally, and got an ICPC worker that will start to go out there in February, to see them, but that's the only new things we have.
All right, so child is on monitored return with mother, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. And is everything's going fine there?
Yes, so far everything's going smooth.
Good. All right, Mr. Nowak, anything to add?
I love Michelle's update. Everything is going smooth. Everything is going great. The child's home, and I'm really disappointed that Monica's not here because we talked last night, Judge, and I think she might be trying to connect, but nothing to add. Just this is one of those ones that gives you goosebumps when the child gets returned. So nothing but good stuff, Judge.
Well, tell her that, I'm sorry, I mean, I will show her that she was present because she obviously was in the waiting room trying to get connected, but is having a problem evidently. So just tell her to keep up the good work.
I'll sure do it, Judge. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Pirtle still has not connected into the hearing, so same, I guess there's nothing really to report on Mr. Gann. Is that correct?
And
Oh,
Judge,
Oh, sorry. No, we've not been able to locate him.
Okay, and Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, I got to Zoom with Noah and Monica this weekend, and Noah is active. He does not sit still, and he never does. And I would be concerned if he just sat still for the Zoom. But I got to see his Miles Morales Spider-Man stuff, and I got to see what looked like an appropriate living area. I got to see bookshelves full of what looked like age-appropriate books and hear about bedtime routines. I also heard that grandparents were there just a few days ago for a visit, which I was very glad to hear. So for as much as I could tell through a Zoom, things seem to be going well.
All right, thank you. Okay, well, I'm going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I'll continue placement and continue the monitor to return to Ms. Gibson. And I will see everybody back April 2nd. 2024 on a 9 o'clock docket. That's our final, unless we have some disposition of the case prior to that time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Judge. Permission to leave?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. You have a great week.
We are here today set for a final. We are conducting this through Zoom. We are also live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. Okay, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Erica Flores is my permanency specialist. We are present and ready, Your Honor. And earlier we had asked about agreed an extension on this one. We're set for mediation on this case in a companion case. We're set in March 25th to do a mediation on these two cases.
Correct, and court had indicated that I would grant the extension, find extraordinary circumstances and grant the extension in the case. So we will not be doing the final today. We're going to have a review hearing, and then I'll announce the next hearing dates. So
yes, ma'am.
Ryan Turman on behalf of respondent mother. We're both present and ready.
Beava Red, standing in for Brooks Barfield, who represents the alleged father, Isaias Orta, and we are. I am present. Mr. Orta is not.
J.C. Zavala on behalf of the child.
okay, so what do we have new since the court report was filed?
We have Ismael. He's currently sick right now. He did have an ear infection, and it looks like it's caused by allergies. But other than that, he is doing good. He's still receiving specialized service training twice a month and occupational therapy once a month. So he's really benefiting from that, learning and moving, playing, doing all those skills needed to work on certain skills. He did have immunizations this month. Other than that, he is doing great. Caregiver is doing a great job at making sure that we are staying up on his appointments. We are waiting on, let me see, he had an eye exam back in November, and it was a pediatric medical eye exam, and that's just to go over the vision problems that could have occurred because mom wasn't receiving any prenatal care. We are still waiting on those pending reports, but I did want to make that known. But everything else, cardiology appointments, dental, hearing, ECI, all that is current. So he's doing great.
Okay. Right, and how about mom's progress?
We have let's see, she's been testing positive on her drug screens. Testing negative, I apologize. Her parenting classes, I still need just one more of those. The additional counseling that we asked her to attend to address the domestic violence. I called Jennings' office. He said that she made it one time in November, rescheduled twice, no-showed once, and then one time the therapist had to reschedule. But as of Monday, there have been no calls to set that up. She has been giving me notes to her 12-step meetings. She attends Mondays and Wednesdays. I believe on Mondays, Tuesdays, Mondays and Wednesdays. And she does chair one day out of the week and sometimes attends on Saturdays. Let's see, we have DeLewis Henders, where it was asked if she could call her to do play therapy with Jaylyn, just to help some behavioral issues that Jaylyn is having. As of Monday, DeLewis has not received a call. She does work. She was working at Tornado, but she she quit that job back in December, but is now working at McAllister's as of January 25th.
Okay. All right. And anything to report on, Mr. Orta?
Yes, I have not been able to have contact with him. In my court report, I did request a police call out report on him, and in July 4th of last year, him and Leah get into an altercation. I did bring this up to Leah, and she stated that it wasn't Asias that was there, that it was with his sister. But I did let her know that in the report, it does say that the officer does talk to Asias Orta, and they refer to each other as boyfriend and girlfriend. They had got into an altercation in the alley where I guess she was dropping off some of his belongings. She had blood coming out of her ear and had dried blood around her neck. She states that she has not seen Asias since Ismael, I think, was possibly about a month old. But I mean, I have the police call out report of July. And then I know that Asias was pulled over in August and he currently has 7 warrants. So he is in Amarillo. I am not able to locate him.
Okay. All right, Mr. Turner.
Judge, I don't think I have much to report other than that I'm hopeful that we can get this case resolved at mediation.
Okay, Ms. Rudd?
I don't believe that Mr. Barfield has had any contact with Mr. Orta. I would appreciate it if Ms. Garcia has contact information with him, if she would share it with her attorney, who could provide it to Mr. Barfield so that they can reach out and contact him so that he can have excuse me, so that he can have adequate representation, and at least by somebody who knows what his desires are. But other than that, we've got nothing.
All right, Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, Ismael's doing great. Has medical concerns, but those are being taken care of. Placed with sister, and I recommend that placement continue. And along with Mr. Turman, hope we can reach some sort of resolution at mediation.
Okay, thank you. All right, then I'll continue the department as temporary managing conservator, and I'll continue the child's current placement. I'll find that there's a continuing danger to return the child home at this time, and that the department's using reasonable efforts to reunify the family. Have we done an appointment for an attorney on the mediation yet?
Yes, ma'am. And Miss Teresa Ratliff was appointed, and we have a date of March 25th to get that done.
Okay, great.
And the dismissal date would be August 9th.
Okay, August 9th. And then our next hearing would be scheduled for May 9th of 2024 on a 9 o'clock docket. And we've set the final for July 11th of 2024. Final, we are conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and consent of the parties.
Judge, I think you read off the wrong cause number.
My screen just, I guess it hadn't changed yet. I'm sorry. Okay. So we're live streaming, and then Ms. Taylor's making our record. So we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We are present and ready. I think we'll be ready to announce an agreement on part and have to do some testimony on part, Your Honor.
Okay.
Maureen Lucero, on behalf of the mother, Adriana de la Torre, Your Honor, we're present and ready. And we also agree that there's an agreement in part.
Ryan Turman, on behalf of respondent father, I'm present and ready. My client does not appear to be present, and I have not had contact with him.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of Isabella.
Then, Mr. Trout, you can call your first witness, or you can announce first.
Yes, ma'am. In part on, in an agreement with mom, what we have agreed to is mom to be named, PMC of the child, a permanent managing conservator or sole managing. She's agreed to allow uncle, Alfredo, who was placement for the child, and I cannot remember his last name. I'll have to ask in just a minute, to be named as a possessory. She is, I believe, currently living with him, and he helps with the child also. For as far as visitations with uncle, a minimum of 1 hour a month. That's in case they move to separate living arrangements. What we'd be asking for later, and Mr. Turman hasn't been able to contact his client to make an agreement, but what we'll be asking for is for dad to stay as a possessory also. We'd be asking for child support, medical support, hour a month visitations at family support, and clean drug screens. Mom's allowed to ask for drug screens before the visit, at least 48 hours prior to visits, a clean drug screen, and those would be at cost to dad. We'd also ask for no contact with Miguel Loretta, no contact between the child and Miguel. Prior in this case, the court has ordered a no contact order, and we would ask for that to keep extending.
All right, is that something mother has agreed to, or is that just?
Yes, ma'am. I emailed that out yesterday, and she agreed to that, Joe.
Okay. So it's a no contact for the child.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The child.
All right, Ms. Lucero, is this your client in agreement?
Yes, Your Honor. I went over all these with Adriana yesterday. We talked a couple of times, and that is her agreement.
Okay, and Mr. Turman, I understand you've had no contact with your client, so not something you can agree to, but so we could.
That's correct, Judge.
Okay. All right, and Ms. Zavala, you believe that this is the agreement with the mother, at least is in the best interest of the child?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, then Mr. Mr. Trout, if you want to go ahead and call your witness so we can.
Yes, ma'am. I'll call Alicia. And how are you familiar with that case?
I'm the worker for the case, the permanency specialist for the case.
And you heard we announced an agreement as far as with mom right now.
Yes.
And that is St. Francis agreement on that side.
Yes.
As far as dad has been found and has been adjudicated. Kurt Williams has been found to be dad and adjudicated in that case. Is this correct?
Yes.
And we're not asking to terminate parental rights today.
Right.
Right. Is what the department asking for today, or excuse me, let me back up. Has dad worked any services?
No.
Have you been in contact with dad at this time?
No.
Have you ever had contact with him?
No.
How often do you try to reach out and have contact with him?
Every month.
Okay. Just once a month, a couple times a month? How do we do that?
3 times a month.
Okay. Do you know where dad is currently living or located?
No. I just know where he works.
Okay. And you haven't been able to find him at work or reach him there?
No.
Okay. We're not asking for termination on dad today. Correct?
Right.
Is the department asking for the dad to be named a possessory conservator?
Yes.
And is the department asking that child support and minimum wage and medical support at $50 a month be paid from dad to mom for the care of the child?
Yes.
Are we also asking that mom is allowed to ask dad for clean drug screens before visits?
Yes.
And at least a clean drug screen 48 hours prior to visit being enacted?
Yes.
And are we also asking setting visitations at this time at 1 hour per month supervised at the family support services?
Yes.
And paid for by dad?
Yes.
And is these requests due to non-compliance from dad throughout the case?
Yes.
And do we believe that that is in the best interest of the child?
Yes.
How is the child doing at this time?
She's doing really well. She doesn't really have any issues at this time. Now that Adriana is working part-time, she's able to be with her mom a lot more, which Alfredo has reported. You can see a difference in her now that she's home with her a lot more. She's been doing really well.
Okay. And this, what you're asking the court for today, you do believe is in the best interest of the child?
Yes, I do.
I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Lucero, you have any questions?
I don't have any questions for Ms. Walker, Your Honor, no.
All right, and Mr. Turner?
No questions, Judge.
All right, Ms. Sabala?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Trout, do you have anything further?
Nothing from Ms. Walker, Your Honor. I know Alfredo Ramirez is there. I would like to ask him a couple of questions real quick. And
Sure.
You heard the announcement a while ago that we made.
Yes.
And are you in agreement to be named a possessory conservator in this case?
Yes.
And to the child?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you understand if living arrangements change, you know, the visitations are at least 1 hour a month, but more than that can be arranged by you and mom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Ramirez?
No, Your Honor.
No questions, Your Honor.
No questions.
All right. Anything further, Mr. Trout?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Lucero, or excuse me, does the department rest?
Department would rest, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Ms. Lucero, anything to present today?
Your Honor, I don't have any witnesses or any testimony to present. I just wanted to thank Mr. Ramirez for helping Adriana while she's gone through this case, and just tell Adriana that I believe she's worked really hard. I'm really proud of her, and I hope that things continue to go well for her and her daughter. But that's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you.
All right, and Mr. Sherman, anything?
No, Judge. Rest and close.
Okay. All right, Ms. Lucero, do you also rest and close?
Rest and close, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Zavala, you have a recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor. First, I would like to echo what Ms. Lucero said. I'm very appreciative of Mr. Ramirez's help in this case and the way that they've worked together as a family to really take care of Isabella's needs. I hope that really continues in the future. I think she's in good hands with the team approach, and it is my recommendation that the agreement that was announced would be in her best interest. It's also my recommendation that all of the provisions regarding dad are also in her best interest, and I would ask the court to enter those today.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I'd request permission to reopen. I have a couple of questions for Ms. Del Toro that I needed to clear up something real quick.
Okay, sure.
Sorry about that. Ms. Del Toro, do you currently, or is there any child support ordered by Kurt Williams on any other children? Do you?
No.
Okay. All your children are over the age that he's paying child support on anything, correct?
I have 2 children with him. One is over the age of 19.
Okay.
He's going to college.
Okay, all right. I'm just trying to clear up, Your Honor, as far as figuring out my child support at the minimum wage on that, on which children he still has to pay for. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, does anybody else have any questions for Ms. Del Toro?
Your Honor, I do. Adriana, just to be clear, you have Isabella with Mr. Williams and then a child that's over 19 with Mr. Williams. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and do you have any other children with Mr. Williams besides those 2?
No, ma'am.
Are you aware of any other children that he may have besides y'all's 2?
Yes, he does.
Are they over the age of 17? Or do you know?
Yes, one is. I don't know what's happened in the past years.
I understand. Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Okay, excuse me.
Bless you, Your Honor. And Your Honor, just for the court's information, I believe from what I saw, there are 2 other children that Mr. Williams has and has some prior orders on, but I believe one of them's maybe in her 30s and one is in about 23 or 24, somewhere in that age. So I just wanted to clarify where I was sitting with the children.
Okay, so should be based on just this child.
Yes, ma'am, that's my understanding.
All right, and I also showed that we previously adjudicated Mr. Williams as the father of the child in a prior hearing. So,
yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, then. Anybody have anything further?
No, ma'am.
You, Judge.
Okay. All right, at this time, then I do find that it's in the best interest of the child to name the mother, Adriana de la Torre, as the sole managing conservator of the child. I will name Alfredo Ramirez as a non-parent possessory conservator. I'll name Kurt Williams as a possessory conservator. I'm going to order Mr. Williams to pay child support based on minimum wage plus the $50 a month in medical support. Let's say that will begin beginning March 1st of this year. Ms. De La Torre will have the right to request him to drug test at his expense prior to any visitation, and visits will be 1 hour a month at Family Support Services, also at his expense. Mr. Ramirez will have a minimum of 1 hour a month visitation with the child if the mother moves out of his home. They're certainly free to increase that amount as they agree. There'll be no contact between Miguel, Loretta, and the child. And at this time, then, I will dismiss the Department of Family and Protective Services from the case and all court-appointed attorneys from the case. And Ms. De La Torre, I appreciate your hard work. Just keep on the same path.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you all very much. And that is the conclusion of our docket this morning. So I appreciate everybody, and everyone is free to go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam.